Hey everyone, this is Friedel Hakorejo Raven. I'm here with my recap and review of Snowpiercer Season number 2, Episode number 7, which is titled Our Answer to Everything. And I did a written review of the previous episode, which was very Melanie-centric. However, I wasn't able to do my recap and review video because personally, I didn't have the time. And also, even though I enjoyed the episode, I had some issues with it because I'm not a fan of fictional characters having these hallucinations, and they aren't necessarily talking to the actual character. They're just having these conversations in their mind, and that doesn't add anything to character development and interaction development and all of that stuff. But yeah, I did write a written review of it for the Geek Gear if you want to check that out. So coming back to episode number 7, we are only three more episodes away from this season ending, and I really hope that we get a season 3 because I'm not really sure how the writers will be able to handle everything in just 3 more episodes. But yeah, the episode opens up with narration from Bess, and she's talking about how she thought that after billions of people died, a few more deaths would be easy on her. But it's not. She is still trying to figure out who is working for Wilford. And in episode number 5, I guess every breachman except Boki was murdered. And Bess is on the case, and she's trying to find clues, and she finds this old Wilford button, and that's the first clue that she has. So that's a lead. Then we cut to Boki, and of course he's devastated that his friends and basically his family has been murdered. And of course he blames the tale, and Pastor Logan is there, and Pastor Logan is taking care of Boki. And I'm not really sure, but this is the scene where I was like, you know what, maybe, just maybe Pastor Logan is in on the Wilford thing. But let's see what happens. So Roche and Layton come in, and they want to talk to Boki, and Layton is like, Boki, I promise you the tailies didn't do this. But of course Boki doesn't trust Layton, and you know that tension between third class and the tailies are just going to increase. So Pastor Logan is like, you know what, I'll look after Boki, you guys go ahead and do what you want. And Layton is like, I have to calm the people down. So Bess, you're on the case, continue figuring out who did this. So she goes to third class, and that's where she ends up meeting LJ and what was his name? I forgot his name. Oh no. What was his name? Osweiler. Oh, wow. I just forgot his name for a second. Osweiler, yeah. So Osweiler and LJ are there, and they're cleaning up the blood from the crime scene. And just look at Osweiler sitting on that swing. And I'm a fan of Osweiler and Bess interacting together. These two queer characters working together, interacting together. And even though they aren't best of friends, they know that they can like lean on each other for support. And LJ is there, and Bess is like, LJ, do you recognize this button? And LJ is no help at all. And this is where Osweiler is like, you know what, Bess, there's this old lady on the train who has this entire room filled with knickknacks. Maybe she knows. And Bess is like, Osweiler, you want to take me there? And Osweiler is like, yeah, I'll take you there. And again, as a fan of these two queer characters interacting, I really enjoyed their scenes together. So while that's happening, Layton is in the hospitality office, and Zara is there, Ruth is there, and Rosh is there, and they're basically talking about what to do with Audrey because Ruth is like, yeah, Audrey didn't come back, so what does that mean? And Zara is like, she was on Big Alice because of your mission, right, Layton? And Layton is like, yeah, I wanted her to switch to comms so that we can hear. And Zara is like, maybe that's why she's still staying there. Maybe she doesn't want to come back until the mission has been completed. But Ruth is like, she's one of us, and not coming back just means the appearance is like other people think that she's been defected to Wilford, and that's a situation that they need to handle. So Layton decides to call Audrey, and of course Wilford is the one who picks up, and Layton is like, I want to talk to Audrey, please put her on. And Audrey is taking a bath, so she gets up, she goes, and she is like, yes, Layton, I didn't come back last night because I'm a bit of a rebel, so I'll be staying here. And Layton is like, Audrey, are you okay? And before she can answer, Wilford shuts down the call, and yeah, Wilford still doesn't trust Audrey completely, and I'm not really sure if Audrey is on Wilford's side or if she's still working for Layton. Then we cut to Alex and her bunkmate, and of course the bunkmate is worried about the Australian guy Murray because she has this connection with him, and they also know that something big happened in Snowpiercer last night, so she's worried about Murray. And Alex is like, you know what, your Australian will be okay. And yeah, Alex is very tensed and she isn't happy because she doesn't know what Wilford is planning, because of course again Wilford used to tell her things. So she notices Sky, and she goes and talks to Sky, and she is like, so what did Wilford do last night? And Sky is like, you know what, Alex, if you don't know, then that means that Wilford doesn't want you to know. And of course Alex is, again, she continues to be angry. She's frustrated because she's the one that Wilford trusted the most. But now that Audrey is back, Alex is being pushed away. So in the tailies are ready for a confrontation because they know that everyone blames them for killing 8 breachmen, and they have to be ready, and they have their people. Lights and Winnie are in 3rd class. So right now the tailies need to bring everyone back to the tail, and that's where their stand-still line. So Murray and his friend in the cab end up going to 3rd class to bring everyone from all of the tailies back to the tail, and they want Strong Boy to stay behind. And as far as Spike is concerned, of course the tailies are worried about Pike because they don't know that he's the one who killed Terrence. I don't think anyone knows that, but such an act basically broke Pike. So they're walking through the food cart, and this is where Murray ends up meeting Boki. And at first I was like, wait, wasn't Pastor Logan supposed to be taking care of Boki? What's Boki doing walking around? But yeah, Boki, of course, he blames the tailies for killing his people, and he ends up attacking Murray. And that ends up bringing in the brakemen, and the brakemen are like, we need to keep Boki under arrest. And this is also where Roche is like, wait, wasn't the pastor supposed to be keeping an eye on Boki? But oh well. So Root and Roche are walking, and Root is like, Sam, I guess his real name is Sam, right? He uses his first name. She's like, Sam, are you worried? And Sam is like, yeah, I'm kind of worried, because Root is like, even though it was Melanie was operating the train on Wilford's rules, and that ended up providing a bit of order to the train, but now the train is in chaos, and I don't like that. What if Wilford comes back, and will he bring order with him? And Roche is like, you know what, Root? Even though before Layton and the rebellion there was order on the train, just remember how it was, how the tailies were being treated and all of that stuff. So do you really want all of that to come back? And of course Root doesn't want that. So Osweiler and Bess are walking towards the old woman's room, and this is where Osweiler is like, yeah, Bess, I can tell that you want to do this because you want to impress Layton. And yeah, again, I just like their interaction. So we go and meet this old woman, and I guess this is her grandson. I'm not really sure, but yeah, her entire room is filled with knickknacks. There are coats, hats, jewelry, accessories, and all of that stuff. And Bess ends up showing the button, and the old woman recognizes this and says that it's from this old coat. And she hands one of the coats to Bess, and Bess is like, wait, this jacket it's a jacket, right? Yeah, this jacket isn't missing a button. Was this part of a set? And the grandson is like, yeah, a beautiful woman came in and she ended up trading this jacket for a hat. So, of course, Bess kind of realizes who that beautiful woman is, because the grandson is like, she kind of looked like she was from first class. And while they're in the room, they also notice these red candles and red lanterns. And we get to know that this old woman knew Wilford from way back, and she used to take him to church and all of that stuff. And she lights red candles in honor of Wilford because she wants to tell Wilford that everyone still remembers them. And these red candles and lanterns are going to play a role near the end of the episode for a very intense scene. But yeah, coming back to the grandson is like, yup, a rich, beautiful lady came in and she took the jacket. So while that's happening, we cut to Layton, and Layton is using the communication device in the hospitality office, and he's basically telling everyone to remain calm and that he knows that 8 breachmen were killed. However, he wants the passengers, the Snowpiercers, to know that it wasn't the tailies who did this. These people are working for Wilford, and they'll find these people soon. And of course, a lot of people don't trust Layton. They're like, we didn't fight in your rebellion so that our own people will die. So of course there's mutiny, there's more rebellion, everyone's out for blood. And then we cut to Big Alice, and Audrey and Wilford are talking, and Wilford shows Audrey the little screwdriver he found while she was taking a bath, and he's like, you know what, I know that you were going to use the screwdriver to switch the comm links, and did you do it? And Audrey is like, no, I didn't do it. And Audrey doesn't understand. Again, Wilford has this weird power over her, and she's like, Wilford, even though I want to go back to Snowpiercer, I can't. I continue to be attracted to you. And you can tell that Audrey is trying to play Wilford, but Wilford doesn't trust her. Wilford is like, you know what, Audrey, I don't trust you yet. However, I will trust you if you do a simple task for me. And Audrey is like, yeah, what's this task? And he's like, get ready. And she puts on makeup, she gets ready, and Wilford takes her to this room, and dun 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 dun. It turns out that freaking Kevin is still alive, and wow, just wow. This was something I wasn't expecting at all. And you know that what Wilford did to Kevin is basically the same thing he did to Audrey, and now Wilford wants Audrey to fix Kevin. And wow. Wilford being a very weird queer character. He's not a good guy, and Kevin loved him, and he was loyal to him, and he basically treated Kevin the same way he treated Audrey. And even though Wilford still loves Audrey, he thinks of Kevin as this weird toy that he can play with. So Audrey needs to fix him, and while that's happening, Layton has to fix his friend Pike. So it's kind of a very interesting parallel between Pike and Kevin, because Wilford used Kevin in the way that he did, and Layton ended up using Pike, and Wilford and Layton using their people or friends in such a manner ended up breaking both characters. Kevin broke and Pike broke, and Layton is like, Pike, are you okay? And Pike is like, you know what, Layton, I looked at the logbook, and it turns out that you're the one who owes me, so I have the upper hand, and one day I'm going to collect the favor. And while that's happening, Alex goes to talk to Wilford, and she's like, okay, Wilford, why aren't you sharing stuff with me? Why are you keeping stuff away from me? And Wilford is like, Alex, because I don't trust you. And Alex is like, okay, because you trust your WHO RE, which is basically a very strong word to use for Audrey. And Wilford doesn't like that, and Wilford is like, yeah, Alex, even though I like your confidence, you are on thin ice, because the moment Melanie came back into your life, you forgot what I did for you. I'm the one who saved you. I'm the one who kept you alive. You should be grateful in front of me, and you should continue being grateful until the day that you die. And yeah, he basically tells Alex that she needs to choose Melanie or him, and Alex walks away. Then we cut to Audrey and Kevin, and this is a very well acted scene, because again, Kevin is broken and Audrey is trying to reach into his psyche and pull something out, and she's basically playing this power game where I guess she wants to beat Kevin into submission and realize that what Wilford did to him was basically a gift. And while that's happening, we cut to Bess, Roche, and Layton going to meet the woman from first class. And Bess notices that she's hiding this bruise with makeup, and she wipes the makeup away. And of course, yeah, the woman doesn't even fight. She's like, okay, you found me. I'm the one who worked with other people to kill the breachman, and it's time because Layton needs to go. Snowpiercer needs a new shepherd. And that's where I was like, ding, 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 ding. It's Pastor Logan, and Bess understands that. And of course, there's this weird revolt occurring in Snowpiercer. The second and third class people want to take down the tailies, and the tailies are running away. Lights, Winnie, and other tailies are running away, and the doctor ends up calling them into her clinic. And Zara and Ruth are end up facing certain rebels as well. And again, the doctor saves them, and she's like, you know what, Zara and Root, come into my clinic. And this is where Root ends up noticing Winnie. And of course, Winnie's the one who remembers Root, because if you guys remember back in season 1, Root decided to take away Winnie's arm, but then Winnie's mom stood up and she was like, you know what, take my arm instead. And Root did that, and the mom died, and Winnie's brother died during the war. And of course, Winnie doesn't like Root. And seeing Winnie act like that does a number on Root. And of course, she's sorry because Root wants to change. And while they're talking, they realize that Winnie ran away because she's afraid of Root. And she ends up going to the same carriage where LJ and Alex were, and where there's this glass dome through which you can look outside. And Bess and Layton are like, you know what, we have to handle this situation. Layton is like, I'll go and talk to the people. And Bess, are you okay confronting Pastor Logan? And Bess is like, you know what, Layton, leave this to me. I can handle this. Root decides to go and find Winnie, and she ends up finding Winnie again in the same carriage. And this is where Root actually has a conversation with Winnie, and she's like, Winnie, I understand that you don't trust me, and I'm not the same person that you think I am. I'm changing, and I won't let anyone hurt you. And Winnie trusts Root, and Root takes her back to the clinic to her friends. And I wasn't expecting Root to have to ever have such a conversation, because we know that Root's the one who was interacting with the dailies when Melanie was in control. And you know what? This scene makes it clear that Root needed to be held accountable for certain actions, and this scene kind of gave us that. So we cut to Audrey and Kevin, and yeah, Audrey's powers of Aubrey's psychological skills end up working on Kevin, and Kevin is basically this brainwashed dude now who is going to do anything that Mr. Wilford tells him without question. And Audrey ends up taking Kevin back to Mr. Wilford, and of course Mr. Wilford is impressed by Audrey's work, and Audrey is like, Kevin, lick Mr. Wilford's slippers, and he does that, and the way he licks the slippers is in a very sexual manner. So again, Wilford has this weird psychosexual power over certain followers. So the second and third class people end up finding Pike, and they're like, you know what, we are going to take away Pike's arm. And while that's happening, Bess goes and meets up with Pastor Logan, and she is like, Pastor Logan, why did you do this? And Pastor Logan, again, he doesn't lie to Bess or anything, and he is like, Layton had to go, the train needs a new shepherd, and Mr. Wilford is that shepherd. And Layton, and while that's happening, Layton and Root make their way to the Dale because they want to save Pike. And Layton is like, you know what, Pike had nothing to do with this. I'm the one you guys are angry at, so leave Pike alone and take my arm. And Pike is like, no, take my arm, leave Layton alone. And while all of this is happening, Root is getting these flashbacks to when she would be so comfortable taking away people's arms, and she doesn't want anyone to continue such a practice. So she ends up yelling, and she tells everyone to stop, and she's like, you guys are the one who followed Layton into war. You're the one who selected him, and now that you're angry at him, you want to humiliate him. If you don't want Layton to be your leader anymore, just vote him out, but don't take away his arm. And everyone kind of understands where Root is coming from, and they walk away. And Bess has a confrontation with Pastor Logan. However, another woman comes in, and she ends up fighting with Bess. And while that's happening, Pastor Logan decides to take away his own life. But Bess is able to get this woman off of her, and she ends up ripping away the back that Pastor Logan used to freeze up his face. And I guess he's dead. I'm not really sure, but I think he's dead, right? So while that's happening, Roche ends up going to meet his family, and this is the first time we see his family. And I was actually very surprised that his family ended up being of Asian descent, which, you know what, good work, Snowpiercer. Look, like this is a show that ends up having this racial diversity and sexual diversity, which I really appreciate. So Roche is sitting down with his family, his wife and daughter, and they are looking out of the window, and they can see these red lights being lit. Again, it connects to the red lights that Oz and Bess saw in that old woman's room, which is basically a calling card to Wilford, and everyone on Snowpiercer is telling Wilford that they want him back. And we get this very intense scene, which, you know what, Layton, people are not happy with Layton. They want Mr. Wilford to come back. They want order. And of course, Layton and Zara are looking outside and they're like, you know what, this isn't good. This isn't good at all. So Wilford is looking at the red candles as well with Audrey and Alex, and Sky comes in, and Wilford is like, Sky, it's time. I want you to prep Icy Bob. Again, we don't necessarily know what Icy Bob is supposed to do, because in the Melanie episode, in the previous episode, we know that Icy Bob wasn't sent to kill Melanie. So let's see what he ends up doing in episode number 8. This is the life that Wilford wants. Audrey, the woman he loves, and then Alex, who's basically his daughter, and he wants control of the Snowpiercer, and that's going to be his perfect life. And this is where the episode ends, and we get this card of basically sharing that if you are someone you know is struggling with feelings of depression and suicide, please seek help by contacting the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. So I will be doing a written review for the Geeky. The link to that will be down in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought of the episode. And yeah, only 3 more episodes left. Let's see what happens. And until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later.